I'd like to call this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Ayer to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Any changes?
None for me. I motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda's approved. First item on the agenda is a continuation from February 21st public hearing, application for variances and special permits for the town of Ayer, 0 Rear Highland Avenue and 115 Washington Street. Chief, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With your permission, I'd like to have our project manager John Fasella, and our contractor, Joe Gadebeck, address the board.
Yes, sir. Are there any abutters here?
I don't see any.
Well, that question and answer sheet, was some of the information posted on the
It was all posted.
Absolutely.
then that's, I'd imagine, handled a lot of that.
And could you spell the last names of both those?
Fasella is F-A-C-E-L-L-A.
Okay.
Gadebeck is G-U-I-D-E-B-E-C-K. Joe, yes.
Thank you.
And they're with what?
Joe Gadebeck is with Timberline Communications.
Yes.
Communications. And John Fasella is with Panther Pines Consulting.
By all means. I'm sorry.
Gentlemen?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So my name is John Casella, and this is Joe Gadebeck.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm the consultant who was hired by the town a while ago. I'm going to stand, it's just easier for me. As you know, we've been working on this project for a while. It's now time to actually start doing important stuff. And so we're here to get zoning board approval for the structures. Specifically, the first item on the agenda is for that hilltop site by the school and next to the water tank. So depending on I don't know whether you have questions for me or whether you want a presentation. I don't know what's your preference.
Well, sir, to be quite candid, we had very few questions on the last meeting. The abutters, and I think there was a substantial number, had more concerns than basically we did. So therefore, Chief had posed to them, he would post these questions and answers on the website. And actually everything is pretty well explained I read through it, and I'm sure,
Yep.
I don't know if everybody else did or not. I personally don't have any issues with what you're doing or how you're doing it. I understand it. I can comprehend it. I don't have a problem with it. So, I mean, you did go through the effort in putting it all together, and if you would like to put on a presentation, you're more than welcome to, but I'm fairly well certain that I'm satisfied with you meeting all the stipulations, and we can poll the board and take it from there if that would be to your...
That's fine with me. I don't want to use up a lot of your time.
I, not yours, but you did make the effort to come in for the presentation, should there have been abutters who were questioning what we were doing, but it seems to me that it's pretty well taken care of. It's resolved itself. So that being said...
That being said, we got 10 minutes before we can do anything else.
I had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because hadn't we asked for a balloon test for visibility?
Well, someone had brought that up. They wanted it was a photograph. They wanted something done in that respect. Did you look through the drawings? It's not a balloon per se, but if you look at the orientation and the layout.
I tend to need interpretation of the drawings.
So, in addition to those drawings that you have, I did some visual depictions on my own for the chief, and I can show them to you if you wish. They're a little crude, but you have them great. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, we had those before.
Yeah. Tell me what you.
Actually, it should be. There were several different documents that we had created, and this is just part of one. Let me show you.
Right.
And now, I don't think we didn't have that
Yeah, we did.
previous picture of the last time.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that,
yeah, it was there. That was there.
Oh, okay. Guess I didn't recall.
Yeah, because that's what prompted some of the questions, saying, well, you got guys out, remember?
We
It
did.
says Hilltop Site
I
Vision.
didn't remember that.
And
The layout, the guys, and
That's
all
what I
that.
didn't recall.
We had all of that.
I didn't
It
print
was
the
in the
pictures.
package.
yeah.
We're talking about some kind of viewscape,
Well,
artificial.
it was one of the abutters, actually, I think there were two of them, that said, well, they could see the tank from their yard and how much more obstruction were they gonna have with the antennas in the air. And it's a stick antenna, so,
this is approximately what it will look like.
Okay.
yes, there.
So
I
this,
don't have that.
the red part is a depiction of approximately the height of the the tower that will be above the water tank. And then there's going to be a series of antennas coming off of it, and we have an engineer's drawing. We can show you what that's going to look like, if you want to see that. The easiest thing, just use this. So this is an elevation view, that is to say a side view. And
We have that one too.
It's in there.
Right down there.
Yep.
Right there, John.
Yeah.
so you can see that basically it rises above the 80-foot tower by another 40 feet approximately. And the antennas that are now on the tower, water tank rather, are largely going to be removed, with one exception, which is a DPW antenna for their alarm and control system. And then we're going to have a series of side arms. As you can see, the top-mounted antenna will be for the police department. The next level, 110 foot, there'll be a side-mounted antenna for the fire department, and another side-mounted antenna for one of the other police channels. And then moving on down, two other police channels, and then the lowest one will be a new repeater for the DPW. Right now, they don't have a base station, and we're taking one of the older ones from the police department, and we're repurposing it and allowing for repeater operation for the DPW, which means, in simple terms, instead of just talking walkie-talkie to walkie-talkie, they'll be able to talk through a repeater and get much better range.
Just out of curiosity, why are you leaving the one antenna on the tank?
Because it belongs to the DPW, and there's no reason to move it. It already works where it is.
Okay.
And in addition to that, what you don't see is there are going to be two microwave dishes on the water tank and one microwave dish at 116 feet on the 120-foot tower.
Are those new?
The only thing that's new on this, well, let me say it a different way. We're replacing most of the antennas because it's good practice. They've been up there 10 or 20 years and they do deteriorate.
Yeah.
But in terms of the antennas, physically being there, we're going to have basically the same number of antennas except for the one that's going to be used for DPW, and then the fire department is going to have a spare antenna in addition to the one they have. So that their main antenna is going to be 110 foot, and then they get a second spare antenna in case it gets hit by lightning or something at a lower level.
The dishes are for,
The dishes are for microwave links, so I don't know if you're familiar with microwave. It's a line-of-sight pencil beam.
DHS.
Actually, it's at microwave frequency, so it's much higher than the normal radio frequencies used by police and fire. It's at 23 gigahertz, and they're at megahertz. So it's much higher. It's in frequency. These are 2-foot dishes, as I recollect, so they're not very large. And the purpose of them is to improve the control of the system. Right now, the control of the system is kind of a little primitive, and what we're doing is we're improving it by having direct control from the police dispatcher directly to the tower site so that they can directly control the base stations, and that's going to be for more efficient communications. Okay, did that help?
that Bill we just walked by? I think one of the abutters who was here last time just walked by. I think he's probably using the
He's
bathroom.
heading upstairs.
He could be here for,
Hmm?
he could be for the thing upstairs. I
What's
don't know.
upstairs?
There's another meeting on the
Oh.
retail marijuana.
No, I'm pretty sure it would be for this.
I mean, I'm willing to wait a couple minutes after that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, with
No
the
butters?
lack of, I mean, again, like you said, Sam, we had a lot of abutters here last time with a lot of questions. I think the literature you guys put out put a lot of that to rest. So if there isn't a butter who may be just using the restroom, I'd be fine with waiting a minute. But
Down that.
all of my concerns, and I didn't
Might
have
have
any to
been
begin
met.
with, so.
Yeah,
that
to
put
6:14.
to rest. Yeah, exactly.
There was some concern about access to those guy wires.
Well, it looks like they fenced it.
Yeah.
Those guy wires are within the fence?
Yes, yes, that's normal public safety practice, because otherwise some clown with a pair of bolt cutters can bring your tower
Yeah,
down.
I think you made a joke about rat guards.
Right.
Well, that's what the one lady said, well, the kids will be climbing on the
It's a
table.
technical term.
It is, it's actually an official term.
Put a rat guard on the door.
And there was some concern about the generator, which you answered in communication. You have to have a weekly test of the,
Yes,
and it's only,
Yes,
it's
so-
a shortened duration, and that's it.
so the
First day
typical,
is at
the typical,
1 o'clock.
first of all, it's a propane generator.
Yes.
Propane powered for a bunch of different reasons, but basically because propane fuel is a lot easier to manage. You don't have to worry about fuel additives and diesel gelling and all that stuff. I have other clients that have propane, we've had zero problems with it. Propane generator typically is quieter than diesel or gasoline. I actually put in the answer to the abutter's question some specific
I saw that, yeah, the chart.
sound chart, you know, in
Yes.
dBA. And basically, it's not much louder than a air conditioning unit outside of a house would be at about the same distance. 23 feet is typically what they measure it. So what you're talking about is that when this generator runs, it's going to sound about as loud as an air conditioner would. But nobody's within 23 feet of this place, okay? Because I've been in this site dozens of times, and there's no home anywhere near it. The school is down the hill. To give you a reference point, another client that I have has a slightly smaller generator, but it's propane, and 12 feet away from it, it's behind the shelter, the communication shelter, you can't even hear it. So we have, in that case, a butter's much closer, they've never complained about it. So typically what you do is you exercise these generators once a week to ensure that they're gonna start properly. It typically runs for about 15 to 20 minutes. And you can select the time of day. So what I've typically done is pick like a Thursday at 1 p.m. No school kids are home, anybody working is not at home. It's only some homebound person that may hear it. So, and we can pick any time that the butters wish.
And I think the abutter has.
Yeah.
We have one abutter.
Yeah, there's your chance. You have all the experts lined up.
Everybody's here if you have any questions.
No, I reviewed the plans. I reviewed the plans, and I didn't know, were photosims put together from the neighborhood areas?
No.
I have done attempted visuals in different neighborhood areas, and that was part of the package that the zoning board has. So yes, I have those.
Can they go over the screen?
They can, but I'll have to,
No, we don't have those.
Are those the visuals that you have right there, sir?
yes,
Yeah.
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 I
Come on,
have these
take
on
a-
my computer, we could.
Take a look at it.
We don't think that it's, we don't think it's even, something we put up to big board.
See.
So what is, so this is the hilltop site.
Yep.
This is a depiction of where the,
one other question.
the tower would be in relation to, you know, the height of the tank, which is about 80 feet, so it's another 40 feet. This is a depiction from,
Bradley Nicole.
right, and I did some geometry calculations and figured out that you would not see it from that particular location. This is from Norwood.
Yep.
Again, I did calculations, you're not gonna see it. The reason is because, of course, you have foliage, you're down below the height of the hilltop, and so when you try to look at an angle, you probably not going to see it. And then I did it from the road down from the high school, and you just barely see it there.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Questions? Jess?
Just had one more. One of the questions that you posted was about what insurance against possible damage to abutters' properties would be taken out. And, you know, I know all the other answers talked about minimizing the actual chance of anything going wrong, but I didn't find that that was actually answered. What would, in a very isolated chance, what would be insurance or protection to abutters
In what respect?
if a tower fell or something like
It's
that?
only 120 feet, it's not
Yeah.
gonna go far.
True.
There are pines in that forest, 100.
Yeah.
I mean, in that.
So what's the
area.
closest house to the tower?
She says, I don't know.
It's on Norwood Avenue.
Okay.
And I did those measurements. It's no, the fall zone of the tower is nowhere near those homes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I have a visual of that. I may have. The other thing I should point out is that this tower is going to be designed by Timberline's civil engineer. The foundation design and so forth is going to be to EIA RS 222G for golf. That is a new standard for towers that came out as a result of Hurricane Katrina. It's much more stringent than the earlier standard, the F standard. And of course, there are there are predicted winds for different geographical areas, so the civil engineer has to take that into account. In other words, for Ayer being in Middlesex County. The bottom line is, I think the chances of this tower falling down when it's designed to these standards is very, very small. It's not zero, nothing zero, but it's very small. I don't have handy, I have on my computer, but not printed any kind of depiction. But I looked at the distances pretty closely, and we're not within the fall zone.
Okay.
I think another butter has. Are you in a butter, sir?
I am.
Do you have any questions?
The actual height of the tower is what?
120 feet.
So it's going to 50 feet above the trees.
It's going to stay 40 feet above the current water tank. I have a visual depiction of it if you want to see it.
Okay. How does that impact the real estate values?
Could you ask?
I can't answer that question.
Yeah, his name.
Could I have your name, please?
Keith Shaw.
Keith Shaw.
Thank you.
That's one of my biggest concerns, the real estate values in the neighborhood,
That's,
the aesthetics in the neighborhood. I'm all for the safety of people.
Well, maybe you should look at these visual depictions I have. If you come up here, I can show them to you. I just showed them to this gentleman. I did try to show on a couple of pictures, right, what the tower would look like above the existing structures, for example, the tower. From Liliana Court and Norwood Avenue, you probably will not see the tower in most positions. I did the geometry and worked out the calculations using the angles. Okay, that's because those two streets are fairly low compared to the hilltop, and then you have tree foliage up in front of you. So the angles are such that you probably will not see the tower. If you're down by the high school, right, and you look at an angle, you can see a little bit of the tower, and I'll show you the depiction of it. And if you're on the side of the elementary school, looking up, where you can very clearly see the tower, the water tank, excuse me, then you can see the tower pretty clearly, the extra 40 feet. So are you interested in seeing these visuals? Because,
I can see the tank from my house currently.
okay, so you're, so
And I'm on Berlin Court.
you can see the tank? Is this in the winter or the summer?
This time of year.
This time, okay.
I can't answer your question about property values. We can't,
Not within our scope.
There's no measure.
no,
Right, it's not
there's
within
no,
our-
it's not measurable, I don't believe. At least there's no way I can measure it.
Right.
Would there be some intrinsic value? I have no idea. I would think, if you stop and, if you think about this for a minute, that would be similar to a fire plug. Fire plugs are ugly, but people want them close to their house, obviously. The tower with the antennas, for analogy, would be along the same line of thought. The towers are with the repeaters are for police and fire, and it would provide the same sort of protection you would expect to find with a fire plug. That's just my thought. Value? Well, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't think.
I think everything affects the value of a home.
Who lives next door to you is going to affect the value of your home.
And for someone to say to me, I'm not going to look at this thing, I think if they're wrong. And we don't know that unless we probably rent a crane that's that height and put it out there for a week and see if the people like it.
What you're suggesting is, would you rent a crane for the same height, put it out there, and then do what?
And let the people make a decision.
Sales evaluations? You want to do a market analysis on the surrounding houses? I don't know how far to take this.
Plus a crane.
It-
Well, I think we need to do the right thing for the people that live around it. And we have to take it to that level and get a professional to look at this.
Everyone
And I would-
involved in this are professionals.
Except the real estate professional.
Right, but I mean, these two gentlemen, you know, as far as we're concerned, are professionals on this. They've gone out and, like this gentleman said, he's taken a look at the calculations, and it was his determination that it wouldn't be a huge impact in terms of a visual. If you do want to take a look at his photos, though, I think that might clear up some of your concern.
I'd like to add something too, which is, what is the alternative? I've looked at all the hills in town, and this is one of the tallest hills in town. It already has radio antennas on the top of the water tank. And the reason the water tank is there is because from a water supply point of view, we want the tank as high as possible to have decent pressure to the faucets and to the hydrants for fire protection. So it's already a fact that this is town property and that it is a high point. If I were to position some other place, I would run into all kinds of problems in trying to do the design, because those other places aren't town property, with the exception of the Hinkley Hill site. So now we have a problem of, we're going to have perhaps even more abutters and more problems in trying to get zoning permission. And then we're also further away from the center of town. The other thing that's not immediately clear unless you look at Google Maps, and I do have some Trovo maps that I've taken a look at. This is sort of the geographic center of town. So you want that for the radio coverage to be more or less equidistant to the fringe areas in the town where the patrol officers are going. Because the whole reason we're doing this is they're getting, in fact, bad coverage in some places, specifically to the east of town. And and sometimes in other locations. So this is a fix for a problem that impacts officer safety and the public safety ultimately. So that's why we're doing this. I think you know that.
Yeah, I do, and I have a great deal of respect for the chiefs in town and the job that they do, and I want their people to be safe. I do have some valid concerns about this thing. Have we looked at alternative sites, and why were they turned down?
Well, they were turned down because the main reasons are not town property. So then I go into a much more complicated problem of being in the middle of a housing area and having an awful lot of other houses around me. Yes, there are houses around Brilliana Court and Norwood, and some, down by the schools, but we also have the advantage that the school occupies a broad arc next to the water tank, so that, the kids don't care about what's there, and the teachers are in and out, so they're not inhabitants, so to speak. So from that point of view, one would say, I think, if you were fair, that it's the least number of inhabitants that we're buying.
Question?
Okay.
Make a motion.
Well, then that being said, I motion to grant a variance and approve a special permit. Well, I'll do this bit by bit. I motion to grant the variance to allow for the erection of a 120-foot guide telecommunications tower in a location which is not covered in the Wireless Communications Services District, and to grant a special permit pursuant to zoning bylaw 2009 3.3.5.1 Wireless Communications Services District to erect a 120-foot guide telecommunications tower to support the antennas for Town of Ayer public safety operations, continued from our February 21st, 2018 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. That covered both lots?
That was just for the first lot.
That was for Washington, yeah.
Correct.
Highland Ave?
Yeah, Washington, Highland Ave, get your Park Street.
Okay. Again, I have no issues with the Highland Ave project, but is there anyone from the public, or for the Park Street project, is there anyone from the public that takes issue with it?
Park Street.
Yeah, the second application we just did, Washington, right?
I'm sorry. Okay. Wrong line. Yep.
Is there anybody else from the audience who has any concerns about the
Park Street.
variance or special permit for 54 Park Street? Okay.
Good.
That being said, I motion to grant the variance to allow for the erection of a 70-foot utility pole in a location which is not covered in the Wireless Communications Services District, and to grant a special permit pursuant to zoning bylaw 2009 3.3.5.1 Wireless Communications Services District to erect a 70-foot utility pole to support antennas for Town of Ayer public safety operations, again continued from our February 21st, 2018 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing for Town of Ayer.
I motion that we close both public hearings from 115 Washington Street and 54 Park Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Just give me 1 second to get the next one done.
All set? All right. Ayer ZBA will conduct a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, March 21st, 2018, at Ayer Town Hall located at 1 Main Street, Ayer, Massachusetts, regarding application by Louis Frampton, 4 Pearl Street, Ayer, Mass.
Yes.
Applicant is seeking variance from Ayer zoning bylaw 2009 5.12 lot area to allow for the conversion of existing attic space into a 5th living unit on a 17,509 square foot lot where 22,000 square feet is required. Mr. Frampton here.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Frampton, before you begin,
Yep.
sir, are you here for the meeting held by the Central Ave folks?
Yes.
Okay, that's upstairs. I saw your shirt, and I know that's next to 38. That's just about to start.
Upstairs?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
He's Terra Nova. They're right next to Mango. He's the auto body shop.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. So hopefully this will be a little less technical than the previous meeting that you guys had.
Are you Lewis Frampton?
I am Lewis Frampton, yeah. So basically, I recently purchased a 4-family property at number 4 Pearl Street in Ayer. So we've got a couple slides here. The building was built back in 1880. It's a roughly 4,500 square foot building. It's currently sitting on a 17,500 square foot lot. It's currently 4 units, and basically I desire to make it into 5. So on level 1, we have 2 one-bedroom units, one of them quite small and then one of them quite large. On level 2, we have a very small 1-bedroom and a large 2-bedroom. And the attic is one of these old mounted roofs, so it's got a full height attic. And at the moment it's completely empty. And when this building was originally a single family, this was all living space up on that 3rd floor in the attic. And so I desired to turn this into a 3 to 4 bedroom on the top floor. So if you have the next slide, please. So this is just to give you an idea of some of the existing conditions. So on the left, we have the existing conditions floor layout. So there's a staircase that comes up in the middle of the building.
So that was the way it existed when you purchased it?
That's correct. So that is a photo probably taken maybe 6-8 weeks ago.
Question before you get too far.
Yep.
What is the floor area in each one of the apartments?
I can give you rough orders of magnitude if that's okay.
Well, the reason I'm asking, because there's specific requirements for floor space in a multifamily apartment, and if it's grandfathered in, adding a 5th is going to make it more non-conforming.
So I spoke to, is it Charles, the building commissioner? And this was the only bylaw that I would have been violating. So he was not aware. Everything, I think the smallest unit is like 700 square feet. I mean, they're small, but these aren't.
It's fine.
Studios.
They need to be 500 or better.
Oh, yeah, all day long. Yeah, there's absolutely no concern.
And what's the square footage on the top floor here?
It's roughly about 1,200.
Okay, because I saw 750 for a different issue. So
Yeah.
that's,
Oh, they're
yep.
the big spaces. So as you can see, this was previously living space. You've got the old strapping up there on the ceiling. You've got the old 2x4s where there used to be walls and the rooms were separated. And you can't quite see it there, but there was actually an old widow's peak at the top of the building as well. But that's a long time gone. So if you go to the next slide, please. This is just another picture showing the same thing, just clearly showing that we're not adding any new floor space. We're just kind of renovating existing living space. Again, next slide, please. Again, this is the last one, just showing existing conditions. So the staircase comes up through the middle, and then again. So then this is just a rough kind of concept of what we might hope it could look like. So we're going to maintain most of the existing walls. We will have a licensed architect and a structural engineer prepare our drawings, and then once we have our variants, you will get architect's drawings submitted for our building permit. So there's a concept of what the second egress could be. It will be, it will be a completely legitimate second egress, and we're going to be keeping pretty much the same wall layout. The walls that are in bold are the ones that we're going to be adding. So there's not a significant amount of the actual DNA of the house that we're really changing.
So you wrote that no new construction is required as part of the project.
So I could probably
Explain the no-
clarify that. We're not building out anything.
You're not expanding
Now-
the walls.
We're not expanding the building.
Right.
We're just changing the purpose and refreshing.
And what about the second route of egress? Because I took a ride up there and it's tight. So I'd be concerned about if you were doing a deck,
Yeah. So
setbacks perhaps.
yeah. So I mean, obviously that's another hurdle that I've got to cross. If we get the variance and this becomes a livable space, then I've got to come up with a stair access off the back that
And I'm
works.
just saying you may be back once you have.
That's
plans
fine.
for that.
Yeah. So that'll, I guess, when we submit our drawings for our building permit, then that deck, that staircase, whatever fashion it takes, will be drawn as part of those drawings when they're submitted to you. And we can go to the next one, I think. So then one thing that I did want to bring up is the parking capacity. Obviously, you add more bedrooms, you're adding more people, more cars, more families. The previous owner, before I bought this, you see that white kind of retaining wall that goes down the drawing, and then it's almost like a backwards L. Yeah, so the previous owner actually added that in, and it expands the kind of the driveway stroke parking lot that's on the front of that property, and you can probably comfortably park 8 or more cars there. So I don't see a concern that for 5 units you would be.
Well, you what you're gonna need is 10 parking spots because it's 2 per dwelling unit. You think you have 10?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get out and measure anything, so I literally just drove up
If,
driveway.
if when we do the next kind of round and get the building permit, you want us to draw out the lot with cars and give you something a bit better than Google Maps, we can do that. If you want lines painted and us to demonstrate things like that on the property, we're happy to do that as well. But there's a big space.
Yeah, it was a fairly big space. In
There's-
winter with a lot of snow, it'll get tight. But if you have 10 spots, you have 10 spots.
Yeah, and it's quite favourable when it comes to snow removal because it's up on the top and you've got a lot of banks down the side. Yeah, the guy comes in, pushes it. You don't really, when it snows, you don't lose that much real estate on the blacktop. So next slide, please. So something I did want to talk about is obviously the benefits to Ayer. It might seem like it's a small project and that it doesn't make that much difference, but there's a lot of local trades that we should be able to get a slice of some of the work here. We are already looking at using more lumber around the corner and Century Carpet, so we're thinking that there's going to be at least $20,000 in material purchases from local suppliers in the town of Ayer. And then bringing another property here means that there's more people eating, drinking, supporting the local businesses that are already here, and paying taxes in the area. And this is just an interesting statistic that I wanted to quote from the National Association of Home Builders, that for building the average rental apartment in the US creates 1.13 jobs and $42,000 in taxes. And although I don't quite hope to spend this much, $100,000 spent on remodeling creates 0.89 jobs and nearly $30,000 in taxes. So even though it's small money, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, it does all add up. And something that I attached in my application was a supplementary appendix, and it's actually of other properties in the area, in the general residential zone, that do not comply or slightly infringe upon this bylaw.
The only problem I had with that is those were probably pre-209 before the regulations, so
Okay.
they really, aren't.
I'm not aware of.
I understand.
If that was the case.
I understand that that's the neighborhood you're in,
Yeah.
but.
And I often have trouble granting something just because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that was never
Exactly.
my.
That's
Yeah,
why-
that's never my
I know you weren't
intention.
going for that.
Yeah, I was just trying to show that it's maybe not something that's.
Yeah, I know, but that just,
that's,
I just didn't figure that was germane.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll take that on board for the next time I meet with you guys. But so before this kind of really goes ahead, I would like to kind of ask if there's possible to do an informal poll and just kind of see what the.
Well, let's
Discuss
see
it.
what kind of issues we
Okay.
have first, and then we can talk about that.
So my initial concerns were the parking, which, you know, I like I said, I don't know. I didn't get out and count how many spots I thought there were.
So you're asking for an informal poll in case you decide that you want to withdraw at this time? Is that?
After we're done with the questions, if that's okay, I would like to do that, yes.
Okay. So what I was looking for, and I thought I printed it out, is we had the dwelling unit issue before, and we couldn't get past that, and I don't know if that's going to apply, or since it wasn't listed on the posting, because it says, 5.12 or whatever, if we can still take into consideration the footage required for the main plus the additional dwelling units.
Well, the dwelling, we did get it, we did have that discussion for 18 hours.
Right, but would that not apply to this application?
Well,
wasn't-
that's two different things. I agree. What we were discussing before, we had to agree on what a dwelling unit was.
And at the time, we were discussing the fact that the
Separate
gentleman wanted to
buildings.
do separate buildings, right?
Yes.
I understand that, but in the bylaw.
In the
It
definitions,
states that you have to have X amount of square feet and then plus an additional 8,000 or some number, 800 or whatever, per dwelling unit.
that's
in
correct.
that building.
And if you look, and
I thought it was 3.31.
no, it's the definitions. It's in the definitions where we got it, John. That's because if you look, how was that written? That was
I'm trying to find it right now.
yeah.
Maybe if I search the document, I can find it. But I was concerned about that because we had an issue before and we couldn't agree to pass on that.
Well, no, they were trying to say that the building was not a dwelling.
Yeah, but that's.
$5.12.
Well, I thought 5.12 was the land issue.
Well, it covers regulations for lot area, yard setbacks, building and structure heights.
Correct, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, these are individual apartments, right?
No, so it's one building,
Right.
Yeah.
and then within that building are currently 4 units, and I desire a 5th, and the variance that
All right.
I need is,
A dwelling
Right.
is a building designed for human habitation and containing one or more dwelling units.
Correct.
A dwelling unit, a building or portion of a building designed to be occupied separately by one or more persons forming a household and having its own cooking and toilet facilities, and a distinct separate entrance from the outside or from a common hallway or stairway. So the dwelling unit, in his case, he has 4 dwelling units in the dwelling.
He's adding a 5th. He's going to have
He wants to
5.
add a 5th. Now, the chart that he's seeking relief from says you have to have 10,000 for the building plus 3 for each additional, which brings him up to 22,000. He's only got 17.2.
And that's what I think you were talking about, John, right?
You have to have 10,
For the
Plus-
first unit,
For the first.
all right,
That's what the
then
chart
3.
says.
per unit,
right?
Which would be
So that's 12,
22,000.
right. Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yes, it says general resident, this is general resident.
Okay, that's where he got the land thing. He got it from that dwelling thing.
Yes,
Okay,
he
I'm
got
good
off the
with that.
dwelling chart.
I just wanted clarification
Yeah.
that we were talking about the dwelling units and that's where that land requirement came from.
Yes,
Okay, then, okay.
because it says 10,000 square foot plus 3,000 for each additional dwelling unit.
Right, that's what I was asking.
So if he had a six bedroom or 6 apartments in that building, it'd be 10 plus 15, so it'd be 25.
Okay, and so my point was that we couldn't pass that before, and I don't think it's consistent to say, no, you can't do that, and then turn around and say, yeah, you can do that. I mean,
What we did before, what the debate was before, was they wanted to put a separate building in and claim it was the same dwelling.
Actually,
And
two
it
separate
wasn't.
buildings.
Two separate buildings.
right,
And
but we talked
they were
about
gonna hook
connecting them and all that.
hook them together or whatever the case may be to make it the same, but it was all separate dwellings. It wasn't the same dwelling unit.
It wasn't
They were
all
different
the same.
buildings.
It was
Yeah.
two separate buildings.
Yeah.
He wanted
And
to
they were
add
gonna run it.
He wanted to add the second building.
Correct.
So we
Yeah,
weren't gonna
add
do that.
two buildings, I think
Yeah.
he wanted to add.
Yeah, the
Two
original
duplexes.
building, and then they were adding two separate buildings, each with 2 units.
Right.
Okay, so then to say that this is comparable is not a correct statement.
That is not a correct
This
statement.
is strictly on its own and.
This
not right.
is a 4-bedroom apartment that has the opportunity to make it,
Correct.
not a 4-bedroom apartment, 4
4-unit building.
dwelling unit building.
Correct.
That they want to add a 5th to it without changing the footprint.
Okay. So, that being said, there's not an abutter in the house that has an issue.
Apparently not.
Is- Ron, do you have any questions or anything?
No, I didn't.
Jess?
No, I mean, there's no change to the building. We've got this nice-looking space.
The only
It'll be
two
nice.
questions I have are egress and parking. That's the only
Yeah.
two I've got.
And again, with the egress, if you are gonna be putting a deck out there.
You
again,
have to.
Right,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
measure,
absolutely,
I didn't
yeah.
measure anything, so you may be back
One
to setback.
thing that I've actually got a plan on that I need to research with my architect is that there is already a very large deck for the second floor that if there's 2 options for me. I can either have a deck that's completely separate and comes down, or it can be from the top floor, the 3rd floor, down to the existing second deck, which has already got its access down. So that's the way that I'm going, and maybe next time I can come back and I can present both options and you can tell me what you prefer. But it's
Well, if that's the case, if he's coming down off the upper deck, he's not changing,
He's not changing the
he's not
footprint.
changing the envelope.
Right.
He's
I don't think you
staying
have to
with,
come back.
Right.
he's staying within the existing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did that, I don't think you'd be in front of us again, at least
No.
for that
Not-
issue,
not
for
for
that
that.
issue.
so that would be Charles just saying, yeah, this works.
Well,
when he approves
We
my
assume
bill.
that.
Right, talk to Charlie,
Yeah.
he will
Yeah.
give you
Don't hold
Yeah,
us to that, but
absolutely not.
that's what we're
It's
assuming.
good advice, that's all it is, yeah.
So what does that leave? Maybe other than-
The only thing we're gonna do is give a variance for the 5th dwelling unit on a small
So
lot.
Parking has to stand on its own, or proof that the parking will meet the.
He has the photo of the different parking.
Yeah, you laid it out.
All right, so we're guessing that 10 cars, I mean.
Well, that's what the book says.
Yeah. All right, well,
Sure.
we're guessing by this presentation that we could fit 10 cars.
That addition added 6 when that was done by the previous owner
Yeah.
within the last 5 years. You can see that 3 are already captured in there,
Mhm.
and you can see the different color in the blacktop that extends all the way up, and it meets at the corner of the retaining wall, the kind of the backwards out. Within the limits of the red square, you can see the different color in the blacktop and how many cars you could at least kind of fit on there.
So it
And
appears that 10 cars.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I
Isn't-
don't know, Ron,
The
it looked like you could probably get ten.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't measure.
No,
Isn't
but
that
you
up
had
to
some-
the
okay.
building inspector anyways?
Well, if,
I mean,
When he-
if it wasn't, he would have to come before us
that's
as a
not,
separate.
it's, yeah, and that's not really what's on the table
Right, so
for us to do right now.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Our main focus right now is whether or not he can do the 5th apartment.
Right,
Yep.
so if Charlie had an issue with the parking, then that would be a different.
Well, when he
down
takes the
road.
plans, because we
Yeah.
give him the variance, he takes the plans to
Yeah.
Charlie, and if there's
Yeah.
inadequate parking, then it goes right back
to
to us again.
That's what I mean, so.
Yes.
But
So
on
that
the
would
other
be-
hand, if there was only room for 4 cars, we would probably have an issue.
Right, right.
I think I would have an issue if there was
Yeah.
only 4 cars, yeah.
Yeah, so it is legitimate.
Yes, sir.
The only other thing I had was comments. I mean, my opinion, as you know in the past, is that we are very sparing with our granting variances. The zoning laws are such that, you know, we got to back up the enforcement of the zoning laws. However, I'm, you know, This, historically speaking, this was originally all occupied. I'm thinking out loud to myself. This whole building is an historic building. It was all the floors were occupied in its original state. We have no envelope issues here to start, to worry us. So the density, I mean, yeah, you're increasing the density, but you're not taking away from the free space and the other things. We don't want the town to be more crowded than it is, especially in this area. So in exchange for a slight increase in density over the zoning limits, we are gaining a rehabilitation of a historic house. And overall improvement to the neighborhood, I think, and we're not, I hate this all slicing and dicing that's happened to this town, and don't want to see it done again. It just doesn't appear to be that kind of more subdividing and squeezing and all that, and that's, so I came in with a bias towards not granting many variances, and but I am in favor then of this proposal, since it seems to have all those other qualities that I described.
So you were kind of in a much faster speed than I when you were talking earlier, and you were talking about the employment and I thought you mentioned something about taxes. Not that I think that it really has any impact, but did you say that it changes the tax value of the property to have 5 units versus 4?
That isn't something that I commented on, but that is a correct statement, because obviously when the assessor looks at the property, then the property taxes are inevitably going to increase because it's got more livable, I
Well, it's
suppose.
taxed on number of bedrooms anyway. So
Yeah.
And this
so-
will be taxed on an income approach, because this building, regardless of what Mr. Frampton bought it for, is producing income.
Correct.
So he'll have to fill out an income and expense form, and the assessor will make their assessment.
I thought they did it on the number of bedrooms.
Well, in this case, again, because it's a
In a
5
private dwelling, yes.
Right.
But not on an apartment house.
Okay.
Right.
Not that it really matters to what we're doing, but I was just curious.
Property taxes will be increased on the property. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And that creates a compensation for the extra density, the extra services that are needed per square foot of land in this town.
All right.
Would you like a motion?
I make a motion, we grant the variance as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Keep your parking spaces.
Thank you ever so much.
Oh, wait, weren't we supposed to do the informal poll first?
Well,
We kind of did.
Sure, I think we did.
When Ron said he wasn't
Yeah,
against it, that pretty much nailed
Ron
it.
said he was for it, I mean, what else?
okay. So, I mean, this is my first time doing anything like this, so what's next?
You'll get there's this, I think it's 72 hours.
Yeah.
You have a 72-hour right of rescission, basically. After 72 hours, I sign the document, your variance, you pick up your copy. Is it registered, Robert? Is it registered at...
Recorded?
It's recorded,
Yeah, recorded.
yeah. After I sign it, it's recorded, so you'll have a copy of it, what, week, maybe
Yeah.
10 days?
Week 7 to 10 days.
Thank you very much.
You keep in close contact with the building inspector.
Yep.
He's our enforcement officer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, get started.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, close the public hearing, motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of meeting minutes for February 21st, 2018. I make a motion, we accept them as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will sign those.
Who seconded? Is that you, Ron?
Ron did.
No.
That's the clerk's job.
What?
Sign it in.
I gotta do something. This is clerk.
Sorry, Ron.
Oh, no, it's.
No, you're a member.
No, I'm a clerk.
I know, he is the clerk.
I gotta do, you know, look at the poor rush doing this, you know? Let's look at the signature page. Date is the 22nd, correct?
Date is 21st.
21st. Rushing.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.